Divas, welcome to the COLEtural Experience Awards. I read 125 books this year, which was over 40,000 pages, and it got to the point where I couldn't put all of those books head to head against each other to pick my favorites. So I split them into categories. I've been trying to make more of a concerted effort to read some books that are just like fun. So this category is like fun books that I read in 2025. First nominee is So Old, So Young by Grant Ginder. Y'all, I laughed, I cried, it was better than Cats. It chronicles this group of friends that are these millennials through multiple parties that they all attend. I loved it. It is so unique and singular and like in no way chuggy. I feel like it like really captures a millennial experience in a really special way. It's out in February, pre-order it. Okay, the next nominee, Lita Pearl's Love Biscuits by Arlen J. Staggs. Y'all, it is like, it's set in the South. There's like some like Southern magic with some cooking. There's a character that very much reminds me of like Reese Witherspoon, circa like Sweet Home Alabama. And there's like a kind of love triangle situation. And there's like the football coach is involved. It's just, it's a lot of fun. It's so much fun. Then we have Retreat by Kristen Ritter. Y'all, this is like twists, turns, who done it, who did it. There's a lot of like that fun, just like living vicariously through people's ostentatious wealth. It's a good time. The next one, I think it's fun because all of the insults I still laugh about. They are so funny. And it is the historical fiction, The Pretender. There's treachery, there's like rise in the power of the Tudors. It's a great time. And again, like these insults, I'm still thinking about them. And the next nominee is the entire Crazy Rich Asians trilogy. I thought it was really spectacular. The first and the third book specifically, if y'all have not gotten in on that, would highly recommend. And the next nominee is Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reed. Y'all, I am going to be reading more romance in 2026, but that's corn, and y'all are crazy. The final nominee in this category is The Gunkle by Stephen Rowley. Y'all, it was just such a good time. I read this when I was home in the summer with two of my nephews, and it was just, I think it's so sweet. I think it's just this like beautiful warm hug. Again, it made me laugh, it made me cry. It was better than Cats. I just loved. And I can't wait to read more fun books in with all the rest of my reading in 2026. But my favorite fun read in 2025, or that I read in 2025, is Lita Pearl's Love Biscuits by Arlen J. Staggs. This year, I went on about 30 audiobook adventures, so my nominees for my favorite audiobook adventures are The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Y'all, this one's incredible. Y'all should absolutely listen to it if you've not already. I think Russell Tovey reads it. Yes. And the book is incredible. This was my first experience with it, and like so profound and so gay. Like it just felt like this like mirror of like, oh, that is a universal gay experience. Excellent. The next nominee is Misery by Stephen King. The one I listened to, she sounded almost exactly like Kathy Bates. It was kind of wonderful. And I loved listening to it because it helped when we shifted to like the novel and we were inside the novel, it like pushed the propulsion of the work for me. Loved. I Regret Almost Everything by Keith McNally. It was just so fun to have a story like that read to you. It just felt like this like Sex in the City episode. And I mean that with like the highest compliment. And the next nominee is Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. It is an excellent audiobook if you all have not listened to it. It is just so much fun, and I feel like there's so much joy packed into the audiobook that I couldn't help but smile while I listened to it. I thought it was excellent. And now for something completely different. The next nominee is Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. This one was a very powerful read. It was just such a beautiful work. Like I can only imagine that like in every iteration that this book is incredible. And the final one is The Loves of My Life by Edmund White, because listen, it was like being at a naughty brunch and hearing some of those like naughty stories was just so like made me blush, and I loved it. And the winner for my favorite audiobook that I listened to in 2025 is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Russell Tovey does a brilliant job. In the category of best honker and a half that I read in 2025, our first nominee is Jonathan Franzen's The Corrections. It is an incredible exploration of that middle American family. We've got aging parents. We have, children that have moved away that are coming back, those intense familial dynamics. He just handles it expertly, and his dialogue, hello. And now the next nominee, we have the diva, Miss Joyce Carol Oates, with her most recent opus, Fox. Y'all, if you've not read this, like, what are you doing? It is so gritty and impactful and like shocking. And I got to a point in the book where I didn't like the way she handled something. And I remember like actively rolling my eyes. And I was like, Joyce, really? That's what you're going to do there? And I just kept reading 30 pages. And it was literally like she looked up at me and was like, yeah, I'm like way smarter than you. So like if you could just read the book, I will deliver. And she delivered. It's incredible, like dark academia. Check your triggers. It's very intense. This like creepy, horrible man of a teacher, and all of the goings on with the wild characters in this work. Loved it. And then my husband's The Line of Beauty, Alan Hollinghurst. That beautiful tale set in England about gay coming of age, finding love for the first time, exploring sex for the first time. Then you've got, that undercurrent of the AIDS epidemic into the 80s. It's a very, very beautiful, powerful work. His prose, guys, prose. The next nominee is for something completely different. Roberto Bolaño's 2666. This is a magnum opus. It is challenging, but once you get to the end, it's like the giant jigsaw puzzle like finally comes together, and I'm just wowed by the epic like intellectual brilliance that went into this. I will say, brace yourself. I think it's for part 4. There, he's really specifically delving into the violence against women focus within the work, and he uses a certain turn of phrase over and over again. From a literary perspective, brilliantly, but from a reader perspective, it was a little jarring. And so just know that that's what you're getting into. It's handled perfectly, but it's just a lot to take on, I think. But it's beautiful work. The next nominee is Michael Chabon's The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay. I really enjoyed this. I read this initially because the Metropolitan Opera was putting on an operatic adaptation of this. And it's one of those works that, like, the further I got into it, the more and more I fell in love with it. I think that the way that he tackles, like, World War II when here in America is with our protagonist having direct ties to like Germany during that time is brilliantly done. It's very unique. I think that his like inclusion and exclusion of certain elements and certain plot points are brilliant, and the way that he uses this like superhero imagery and like that idea to frame some of these really complicated ideas is done really, really expertly. There's also a great gay coming of age piece in this. I think it's lovely, lovely, lovely. And then we've got my girl Kieran Desai's The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny. It is just one of my favorite honker and a halves from the year. This like beautiful love story that's told as a fable that's like really a meditation on loneliness. Incredible. And then the final nominee and my favorite honker and a half that I read in 2025 is The Sisters by Kamiri. Okay, so it took me a hot second to like really shimmy into this one, but I will say, once I have closed it, I have not stopped thinking about this. This has like really stuck with me in an interesting way. It's about a set of three sisters who are living in Sweden. They're half Tunisian and they are running from this curse that was placed on their mother. Interspersed between the chapters about the sisters, we have chapters about a man named Jonas Kamiri. It kind of starts to blur the lines about like, what is he obsessed with the sisters? Is he writing this book? Is he writing a different book? And then you start to wonder, as well, as one of the sisters writing this book? It's just interesting, and like their dynamic is interesting, and yeah, I was curious about it, about how I felt about it, about halfway through, but then once we got to the end and now that I've left it, I really appreciated it and I really enjoyed myself. But all of that said, my favorite honker and a half that I read in 2025 was The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny by Miss Kieran Desai, which Simon Savage and I lovingly refer to as the Sunny and Cher Show. In the category of newly published works, the nominees are The Land in Winter by Andrew Miller. Y'all, it is quiet, it is atmospheric, it is so intimate and delicate in the way that he builds these relationships. I love what he did here. I feel that everything is handled with such just like a deft hand, and everything is so deep and yet also not heavy-handed. It's truly wonderful. The next nominee is Flesh by David Soleil. It won the Booker. I feel that the way that he employs sparse prose as a commentary on the straight male, and particularly this character, both in his response to trauma as well as the way he navigates the world, is fascinating. Our main protagonist really moves through life kind of being like drugged by the decisions of others, and yet he's also culpable in the decisions. It's so complex. It's really magical. And the next nominee is The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny by Kieran Desai. Y'all, it is this love story that is really a fable that's also like a true meditation on loneliness. And I feel that each of the chapters we get our own unique meditation on loneliness from the angle of like that plot point that we're exploring in that chapter. It's just an epic. It's so special in my heart. The next nominee is Dogs by C. Mallon. The prose here is so intoxicating, and C. Mallon really takes us on this incredible journey that explores trauma and like youthful heartache. I compare it to like the K-hole of depression that A Little Life put me into, but it's much shorter. So it's kind of in and out in terms of the K-hole of depression, but it's just so expertly done. And y'all, the way that they write being on a mind-altering substance is maybe the best writing of that experience that I've ever read. The next nominee is Under the Eye of the Big Bird. This was nominated for the International Booker. Y'all, okay, this work makes no sense until it does, and it is just this incredible, brilliantly intelligent, like spider web of speculative fiction. I don't want to give much away. It's worth a read. And then by the diva, Miss Katie Kitamura, we have Audition. There are two camps. I am in the camp that loves this work. I spoke with Miss Kitamura about it a bit, and she imagines the work like that duck rabbit image, and it's that idea of like holding two ideas simultaneously at once. There's a massive narrative shift in the middle. I feel like we have in the first half kind of like a micro version of that, and then once we get to the second half, then we see like the macro version of holding those two different realities and different ideas, and we get into this place too where it's like you almost start to wonder, where is reality? Then we have, and I'm being a little sneaky with this one, Olga Tokarczuk's House of Day, House of Night. Technically, it was published in English, I think, in the early 2000s, but this is like a reworking of the translation, and it just really, really landed for me. It's this constellation novel, so all of these stories are like kind of interconnected in that they are like all part of the same kind of area and space. And you do have some really interesting stories within it, but you don't have like a large overarching plot. But the way that she tackles some of these themes is just so brilliant. And the mushrooms, the way she talks about mushrooms and uses this mushroom imagery to like explore this idea of like death and like growing from the decay, and how people are like so adverse to that depending on the generation. And it's wonderful. And then the surprise of 2025, Angel Down by Daniel Kraus. Y'all, I read that it was a single sentence and I rolled my eyes from here to next Tuesday. And I said, sir, what are we doing? But it pays off. It totally works. It is this impossible exploration and commentary on violence. And the prose is so sumptuous and beautiful and poetic. It's laid out almost like verse until it's not. And then this is where we get to like the crux of what the book is about. And he just lays it all out. Y'all, it absolutely worked. The prose is next level. That said, it won't be for everyone, and it is very intense, but I really loved it. Okay. And my favorite newly published work of 2025, this was hard, but it was Flesh by David Soleil. And it wouldn't be the COLEtural Experience Awards without the inaugural DIVA Award. And the first nominee is Sophie Stava, who wrote a thriller that had me on the edge of my seat for the entire time. Their twists and turns kept coming. I didn't know what was coming next. And she's had so much success this year. I'm so excited. And now for a very different kind of diva, we have Claire Adam. Love Forms was the type of work that slowly burrowed its way into my heart. The further space that I've had from this work, the more I have just continued to fall further and further in love with it. It is so special. Her socials are so sweet and kind. Claire. And of course we have the diva, Miss Joyce Carol Oates. Y'all, Fox was it. It is dark. It is twisty. It is topsy-turvy. She is smarter than you. She is smarter than you. And there is a point in this book where I found myself rolling my eyes, and then I kept reading, and she proved how much smarter she is than me. And she is the staying power of Joyce Carol Oates. The GOAT, the diva, yes? And now we also have the diva, Miss Katie Kitamura. Y'all, Audition is the Marmite novel of the year, and I was head over heels for it. The rabbit duck of it all, from the micro within the first part to the macro within the second part, she I think captured something really, really special here, and I am just so taken with her. Also, she is such a dear. She is so kind. I just have so much love for Miss Katie Kitamura. And we also have my diva, Miss Hong Kong. Y'all, just head over heels. You gotta be down to clown, but if you are down to clown, she will take you on journeys that will irrevocably change you. And she won the Nobel Prize. It's not a big deal. Just casual diva. You know what I'm saying? And now we have the diva, Miss Lee Stein. She wrote, "If you're seeing this, it's meant for you." It is this gothic novel that's set in LA in like a TikTok hype house, but it has all the elements of a like traditional gothic novel. She's so impossibly intelligent. Her TikToks just like blow my mind. I was honored to sit next to her at a dinner party. We had such vibrant, wonderful conversation. I have so much respect for her brain. This work is so much fun. Diva. Then we have the diva, Miss Olga Tokarczuk. Both her House of Day, House of Night, and Impusium really cemented themselves into my heart and my soul, and I just have so much reverence and respect for the way that she crafts language and themes, and the way she can say so much in her very unique way that just really divorces herself from the like expectations of a traditional novel and like a traditional form of storytelling. So much respect. And our final nominee is the diva, Miss Tori Peters. Stag Dance just sat so beautifully with me this year. It is so intense, and I think that the themes are so vibrant and urgent, and her voice is just so immaculate in the way that she is able to tell these very necessary stories in a way that only Tori Peters can. And the inaugural winner of the Diva Award is Miss Katie Kitamura. Thank you for your art. Thank you for your kindness. I cannot wait to see what next year and beyond brings, Diva. Thank you all so much for joining me on this crazy reading adventure this year. Before you leave, like, subscribe, tell a friend, tell an enemy, and I cannot wait to be back next week where we start strong on our 2026 reading.